what does success mean to you?
My name is Pete Moriarty, and at 15, I started a technology services business that grew to be a multiple 8-figure business. Now, the business is under management. I exited the matrix when I was just 27 years old, and I effectively get to live life on my terms with complete freedom. For me, what that looks like is most of the time traveling in my adventure truck that I have here and spending time doing what I want with who I want when I want. Previously to moving into the truck, I had a pretty kick-ass house that I was living in Burleigh Heads on the Gold Coast. It was basically my dream life. I could walk down to the beach every day, enjoy the ocean, and then walk back up the hill to the house. And I was able to entertain, throw big parties, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful place to live. But I had a yearning to travel more. And so I've decided just recently to jump into the truck full time and do a loop of Australia, and who knows, maybe even some international travel as well. And I'm finding time adjusting to working on the road and running my empire from a remote location, which has plenty of challenges along the way. Learning to live in the truck has had some pretty amazing experiences. I've got to enjoy the beauty of Mother Nature. Looking up at the stars of the night with zero light pollution is something that I will never ever forget. So far, the longest I've lived in the truck straight has been 4 months. And while the only thing I really miss in the truck is long showers or having a bath from time to time, I love the ability to be out on the road, be with myself, and enjoy the solitude of solo travel. One thing that I've learned that this truck doesn't like deep river crossings, and I really like doing things off-road. One river I went through was too deep for the truck, and it drowned one of the electrical sensors that is pretty critical for the truck. It's the speed sensor. And the truck actually went into something called limp mode, which is when the computer says you're not allowed to drive the truck too fast, otherwise you may do damage to the engine. Now, I was hundreds of kilometers from anywhere, and the truck would only allow me to drive about 40 to 50 kilometers per hour. Now, I had to get under the truck, learn how to solder wires myself to get a sensor half working again to limp the truck back to the nearest town, which was, as I said, 100 kilometers away. Now, part of the enjoyment of being in the truck for me is I enjoy breaking things and I enjoy fixing things. It's something to do with the inner IT nerd within me. And so I tend to get the truck stuck so I can get it unstuck. It's got a big winch on the front, it's got a shovel on the roof, and so if I get it stuck somewhere, I can always get it unstuck, but sometimes it does take some time. Now, one time I was out forward driving with my mom and my stepdad, and we took the truck innocently out into a nice big patch of sand, which was a couple of dunes back behind a beach. Little did I know this was actually a mangrove flat, and it took us 8 hours to dig the truck out of the trenches of sand that we'd created in this mangrove flat, while we were trying to race against time because the tide was coming in. Now, I thankfully didn't end up on the news as one of those idiots who had their truck drowned, but it very nearly happened to me. So now I pack a few more extra skids to help me get out of a sandy situation if I ever get there. And I've also now decided to add a buggy to the truck so that if I want to go off-road and do something silly and get stuck, I'm not doing it in the big rig. So I work with a pretty amazing team who manage most of the operations of the day-to-day of the business. I'm involved in a little bit of content creation. I help out with a little bit of the strategy of the business, but for the most part, everything's taken care of because there's an executive team in place who are running the business. We have an amazingly capable chief executive, Scott, who's now my business partner, who manages most of the operations, and I'm really just brought in for founder duties. That's things like making sure the culture is correct, making sure we're bringing on the right people, and making sure what we're actually delivering to customers at the end of the day is in line with the vision that I have for the business. Now, I've got an amazing personal assistant who helps me to get stuff done, so I don't really have to bother with any of the boring things in life like paperwork or paying bills. All of those things just kind of happen for me, and I'm blessed that I get to just show up and do the work that I'm really great at in my business when I feel like doing the work. I get to basically choose what level of involvement I want to have and what level of effort that I want to put in. The business grows without me, it's successful without me, and I think I've really done my job in that business, founding it and launching it. Now it's a matter of stepping back, letting more talented people grow the business, and for me, just to help guide and support them as best I can. I spend quite a lot of time traveling, and The biggest thing for me when traveling, being from Australia, was experiencing different cultures and experiencing different ways of life. There are many countries in the world where you'll have neighbors and have a much more multicultural viewpoint than most people who start in Australia. I had to travel to have that viewpoint bedded into me. But once I did start traveling, I learned not only different ways of doing commerce, but different family systems, different cultures, different sets of values all across the world in, the many multi-layered cultures that we have everywhere. And what's been interesting for me as a leader is that's helped me to build a lot of empathy for others. But as a businessman, it's helped me to really understand how business is done on a global scale rather than just a micro or a local scale. Now, a quote that I really love is from Dr. John DeMartini, and that is that if you want to have an impact on a national level, you need to be thinking globally. And what that basically means is you need to have a big picture of the whole globe, of the whole of the ecosystem before you can make an impact in a small part. And when I started my business, I really wanted to have an impact across my country. I wanted to help support small business owners to get more done and to be more successful in their businesses using technology correctly and making their lives easier with the right kind of support. And what I found was as soon as I started to travel and experience different cultures and different ways of doing business, it gave me a rich knowledge that I could help to apply to support the small business owners that we help. And now we have customers all over the world. Our customers are over 25,000 strong in more than 15 countries all over the world. And that's pretty exciting to be able to support business owners in many different places to help them get more done in their business. It doesn't really matter where we work from because we're all now used to working remotely. And I think this is the best way for business owners to work and to allow their teams to work flexibly, because we get the best performance when our minds are able to have the creative space to expand, and life on the road allows me to do a hell of a lot of that.